What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Blank Online here today to chat with you more about some Call of Duty 2020. Before I get any further though, only 98% of you guys watching this video right now are subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure you click that subscribe button to be kept up to date on everything to do with Warzone, Call of Duty 2020 and more. Without further ado, let's get into it. A couple of days ago, the Red Door appeared on the Xbox Store. The Red Door being the internal code name for Call of Duty 2020 that is leaked, that is on the store for some people to either redeem a code to download, or some people were able to download it as well. So this has been a sort of a developing story over the past couple of days. The Red Door was there on the 16th of this month. At the time that I'm recording this video, it's the 18th. And as of today, yet another internal code name has been revealed for the game as well. But I guess we'll start from the original story and then we'll move on to what's happening right now. The Red Door, released on the 16th. So some people downloaded it, some people needed a code to download it. Now, obviously, this whole sort of selective download thing, we'll get more into that in a second, but it's an internal alpha, so it's only for select people being given access to this sort of build of the game. There was a description for the Red Door, and it reads as follows: there is more than one truth. If you go looking for answers, be ready to question everything and accept that nothing will ever be the same. The Red Door awaits. Do you dare step through it? Now, this is interesting. There's not really a lot to go off of here though. It's just a really vague description of whatever this is, and it's a really vague description of what we can sort of expect from the storyline of this year's Call of Duty game. Since it is going to be in the Cold War setting, and we know that it's going to be set in the Cold War, we can sort of expect some of the same themes that we saw from the original Black Ops to be sort of transferred onto this year's Black Ops game. Sort of that idea that nothing is as it seems. The numbers, we know the numbers is apparently making a return here in this game and having an effect on the story. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all sort of plays out. It's making me sort of excited for this year's campaign because I really liked the original Black Ops campaign. It's one of the best campaigns we've ever gotten. So I'm excited to see what Treyarch does here with this year's game, with the Red Door apparently being something of big importance. Sort of going on with the original story as well, the file size for the internal alpha was 81 gigabytes, which is fucking crazy. 81 gigabytes for an internal alpha is nuts, and I can see a lot of people getting sort of worried about, oh, it's 81 gigabytes here, what if we get a beta and it's 100 gigabytes? Like, to be honest, I see this being 81 gigabytes purely because it is an internal alpha. Treyarch is putting everything in this to try out and test and develop and all that sort of stuff. So it's not going to be 81 gigabytes if we do eventually get a beta. Sure, the full game will probably be that or even more than that potentially. But for a beta game, for just include this, that's including everything. So if you think about it, that's all the game, the campaign, the multiplayer, zombies potentially if that's coming back. Like, that's everything. It's not purely just multiplayer. So if we do end up getting a multiplayer beta, it's obviously going to be a lot less than 81 gigabytes. And then again, that's not including all the assets they're not going to include in the final game, or the assets that they're going to take out, and all that sort of stuff. So I guess if you're looking at that 81 gigabytes and thinking, holy shit, don't be too alarmed by it, because that is essentially, or as we believe, is pretty much the full game that Treyarch sort of downloading to their consoles and developing and that sort of stuff. So that's enough for the original story. We'll move on to the developing story that was been sort of broken today. On an Xbox One console, someone was lucky enough to download it, and the codename Call of Duty Black Ops CIA came up when you downloaded it. On the store, it will appear as the Red Door, but once downloaded, the name is Call of Duty Black Ops CIA. Now, that's not to confirm or deny that Black Ops CIA is the final title for this year's game. It could potentially just be another sort of code name within the game, within the software. It could just be another code name for the internal alpha build. We know that this year's game is apparently going to be called Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And to be honest, if I was to choose between Black Ops Cold War and Black Ops CIA, I think Black Ops Cold War sort of has a better ring to it, in my opinion. Black Ops CIA, it doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? It sounds like a mobile game, if anything. But it's from what we can see here, it's more potentially just another code name for the game, or another code name for the internal alpha that was on the Xbox store. And again, once people were able to sort of get in to, like, when you press it and you launch that internal Red Door alpha, you do get met with the same sort of image that the PlayStation alpha leaked build saw. So it's like the Call of Duty Black Ops logo, and then a couple of images in the background as well. It's the exact same image, but you can't get any further without a code. So again, that code being for the Treyarch developers downloading this to work on the game as an internal alpha. The thing, and I guess the reason why this is on both the PlayStation and the Xbox stores, is because Treyarch is not at Treyarch. I guess there may be a couple of people working at the studio itself, but as an entire development team, since we are in this epidemic, not everyone is going to be at the studio. There's going to be a lot of developers at home needing to work on the game from home, and this is sort of like the easiest way to do it. Putting the internal alpha out there on the PlayStation and the Xbox store, and have it only be accessible for Treyarch developers, which is pretty much what they're doing right here. So that's there, that's happening. We know that the game is in some sort of development stage. If this is in the alpha stage and we are 3 months away from it needing to be a full release, it's sort of worrying there to know that at this point in time they're only in an alpha stage and we are getting this game very, very soon. I think that what's going to happen here is that we're probably not going to get a beta. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have an announcement, and then from that announcement have 3 months of marketing, and then from that have the game be released. And I think that this year's Call of Duty is going to be one big experiment to see how it goes, because if it is an alpha stage right now, you can assume that when the game first releases, it's going to be in some sort of infancy, some sort of beta stage, if you will. And then maybe 6 months down the line, or maybe a couple of updates down the line, that's when you get the proper Call of Duty Black Ops that was meant to be released, because we know that Activision doesn't want this game to not be released this year. We know that Activision wants Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War to be released this year. They're not going to go a whole year, especially with the new consoles coming out. They're not going to want to go a whole year without releasing a mainline Call of Duty game, because if you think about it, new consoles released, the sort of revenue generated from those new consoles and people buying new consoles and getting excited, what are you going to get with your new console? It happens all the time. When you buy a new console, what games are you going to get? Whether you buy it on release day, whether you buy it a couple weeks later. So I guess that sort of monetary influence, that's the best way to put it. That monetary influence is one of the reasons why this game is being pushed to be released this year, because you got to get that hype, you got to get that next gen hype, and get all those people buying this game with their PS5s and Xbox Series X's, and that's why this is happening. And I think it's to the detriment of the game overall. It's to the detriment of the studio, because what if the studio releases a product that feels and looks so unfinished, and then the community backlash happens from there. I think this year, honestly, if this game, or when this game comes out, and if the game is not in a good state, and we do get a really rushed, unfinished product, and it does need to have a couple of updates for it to be in a proper and a stable place, I really don't think we should be attacking a Treyarch. I don't think that we should be angry at them. I don't think that we should sort of call them out for their failures, because amongst all the chaos and amongst all of this uncertainty, they still released a mainline Call of Duty game, and for that they need to be sort of applauded for that, because they're in any sort of situation, and in any sort of, and especially even before the pandemic, they were thrust upon this game because Sledgehammer couldn't do the job that they needed to do. So even that was a big factor as well. And then you factor in the pandemic, and then we're in a situation we are in right now, where we're in mid-July and we have nothing to do with Call of Duty 2020, no official release, no anything. We're just really picking off scraps. We see an internal alpha on the PlayStation and Xbox store, and everyone goes crazy. Like, it's nuts to believe that we're in this sort of situation, and yet we're still expecting a Call of Duty game by the end of the year, and in 3 months time, might I add as well. So I think we need to sort of look at this as it's coming. We're getting the game. It's just about what build and what form that game is by the time we actually get it. Will we get essentially a beta build of Call of Duty 2020 by the time October rolls around, or will we get a proper finished game? I'm more leaning towards we're most likely going to get some sort of beta build of the game, and then a couple updates later we'll get the proper thing, but subject to everyone's opinion. Everyone, I guess we could potentially see it if they sort of get their shit together and sort of get this thing, like they sort of crank the dial to 200 and then they sort of go into overdrive to get this game complete by the time October rolls around. But I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, comment down below. What do you think about, I guess the main thing we sort of take away from this, what do you think about Black Ops CIA being the title? What do you think about it compared to Black Ops Cold War? And what do you think about this game being only in an alpha stage at this point in time? Let me know all that in the comments down below. Click subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.